Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2018 Volvo XC60, we're going to be showing you how to install the universal 7-way round upgrade kit. But before we do that, why don't we check it out and make sure that this is the right thing for you. This kit is going to work potentially for you for a variety of different reasons, or you can use it for a variety of different reasons. One of the most popular ones being that this can allow you to use a wireless type brake controller, okay? That's because it has this 7-way round here. So one of the real popular ones we have is this CURT Echo here. And these are great, you know, so it's a wireless type controller. All you're gonna need is your 7-way and a 12-volt auxiliary power. And that's exactly what this kit is going to provide us with. And the way this will work, this is gonna plug in to it. You'll download an app on your phone. You can plug your trailer into this end, and then you're gonna have a wireless type brake controller. You know, these things are getting a lot more popular nowadays. You know, the technology's there and people are utilizing it. And it's gonna save you from having to, you know, run extra wires and mount up a permanent type brake controller on your dash. And honestly, on a vehicle like this, on a Volvo, probably not something I would wanna do. But to each their own. So this is a great option for you if you're trying to use a brake controller. With that said, you know, it's also going to do a couple of other things. Since we have that 7-way round type connector, maybe you have a trailer that just uses this type of connector, and so you're able to plug into that. One of the nice things though with this setup is we're also going to be able to maintain a 4-way flat type connector. All right, so for your smaller and medium sized trailers, this is really common. So if you have a couple of different trailers, you're good to go. I mean, you can pretty much hook up to any common trailer and you know, get all the lights and everything working. With that said, our 7-way is going to provide us with our basic lighting functions, you know, your stop and turn and brakes. And it's also going to provide us with that 12-volt auxiliary power. So we kind of talked about the brake controller, the wireless brake controller. But what it can also do is, let's say if you happen to have a trailer that has batteries on it and maybe a pop-up camper or something, and you have it wired up correctly, this could also, you know, potentially trickle charge any batteries that you have on there whenever you're towing it down the road. One of the things that I do want to mention, in order to use this kit, you are going to need an existing 4-way flat wiring already installed on your Volvo. If you have one, great. If not a big deal. We offer them right here at eTrailer, and that's exactly what we use today. So you know they'll work together. And there's another thing I want to touch base on, and that's if you're someone that does want to use that traditional style brake controller by chance, you do want one up on your dash permanently mounted. If that's the path that you want to take, this won't be the most ideal kit for you. The kit that would interest you the most and work out the best would be the universal brake controller install kit. Essentially, more or less a connector back here and everything's the same. It's just gonna come with some additional wiring and everything. That way you'll be able to hook that traditional style brake controller up to it. As far as getting this installed goes, it's really not too bad. I've done a handful of these, so I do have a little bit of experience, but you know, it's really not anything confusing or too advanced. It's kind of just time consuming. You know, you got a handful of wires that you got to run and hook up. But honestly, with the Volvo, it didn't take a ton of time. The battery's actually in the back, so it really does save you a lot of trouble having to, you know, not having to route a wire all the way from the back here all the way up to the engine compartment to go to your battery. From here, we just run it straight up into the back of our Volvo. So a little more straightforward than a lot of other vehicles. So as long as you stay focused, really shouldn't give you too many issues. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and hook it up together now. To begin our install, we're gonna be here at the back of our Volvo, and we need to mount up our 7-way plug. So what I've done is fashioned up this bracket, which is included, to a no drill short bracket, which I've bent an angle in and mounted it up to our hitch. So it gives us a pretty good spot to work with there, and pretty straightforward. That said, you're going to take your connector plug and feed all the wires through. Get that lined on up. Then each corner is going to receive a screw. We'll put that through. And then on the back side, you're going to put on a flat washer, a split lock washer, and a nut. So I'll get this one started and then use that same hardware combo for our 3 remaining corners. So with that mounted up, what we can do now is plug in our 4-way flat here. I'm just going to cut off the cap. And here's our existing 4-pole wiring. And trim that off as well. And pretty straightforward. These are just going to plug right into each other. What I do suggest doing though is using some dielectric grease and kind of just putting a layer on there to help keep the terminals protected. Go ahead and get those plugged into each other. From there, what I did was simply just wrap some electrical tape around that connection, put a zip tie around it to make it somewhat permanent. And we had 3 wires hanging down with these butt connectors on them, a black, a yellow, and a blue. The yellow and blue we're not using, so I just kind of folded them back and taped them up as well while I was doing this one. Black wire we are going to be using here in a moment. But I figured since we're right here, might as well kind of prep it. It's going to have this pre-attached butt connector on it, and eventually we're going to hook another wire to the end of that side. However, I'm going to switch this one out for a heat shrink type butt connector. And that'll just offer us a little more protection against corrosion. This one will work perfectly fine though. If you'd rather upgrade to these, you can grab them at etrailer. What I'm going to do is cut that one off, strip back the end of that insulation. That wire a good twist. Slide the butt connector on and crimp it down. Now what we need to do is get a power wire ran from our battery inside the back of our car here down to the bottom where we can get it hooked up to our butt connector. So we'll open up our hatch, and we are going to have to remove a few things here inside. That way we can get to everything easier. We can pull off our floor covering. This just lifts up. We'll move that out of the way, and then we can get our spare tire out of the way too. So this just has a couple of straps that's holding it down. Go ahead and get them out of the way. And set our tire off to the side. And then we're also going to have a styrofoam cover here. So there's 3 plastic fasteners. With these, you can just take I'm just using a Phillips screwdriver and get them pulled off. Once all them are out of the way, this foam piece will lift up. Trying to clear our battery cover there. Maybe easier just to pop it off. And move this out of the way. Now we can mount up our breaker just to the right of our battery. I'm going to mount it right here. It seems to be out of the way. Nothing should interfere with it. And I'm going to mount it using the provided self-tapping screws. So at this point, what you can do is take the bundle of wire that comes with the kit, and I cut off maybe, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 foot of it. Strip back each end of the insulation. One end you're going to put on a big ring terminal. The other end you're going to put on a small ring terminal. And this is going to get hooked up to our breaker here. I'll just get out of the way. You're going to remove these nuts off the breaker. Careful doing this. They like to kind of shoot off, and of course they fly away and they're hard to find, so be deliberate while you're taking these off. So once you get them off, this wire here that we're going to run up to our battery, That's going to go over the copper colored post. We'll slide that over. Take the nut, run that down. We'll come back with a 3/8 socket and snug it down. So the other end of our ring terminal here, which goes to the positive battery terminal, we're going to leave that unhooked for now. Well, if we move back to our breaker, what I did is take the rest of our bundle of wire and on one end crimp on a small ring terminal, attach it to the silver post on our breaker, just how we did the other one. Pull the nut off, slide it on, tighten it down. This one's going to get ran outside towards our 7-way connector. So I just routed it along through here, kind of along this bundle of wiring. And right here there's actually a grommet. And so if you pop that grommet out, put a cut in it, or poke a hole on it, you can feed that wire down to the underside of our vehicle. Once that's complete, I do suggest taking some RTV sealer and putting that silicone around that grommet just to help keep everything sealed up. So underneath the vehicle now, right here is where that black wire came down. I cut it to length and simply just plugged it into the other end of our butt connector here that we prepped earlier. Got it crimped down to complete the connection. And since I'm using the heat shrink, I'm going to come back with my heat gun and seal up those ends. Now moving underneath the vehicle, we have this white wire with the pre-attached ring terminal. We need to ground this out to the body of our vehicle. Honestly, we don't have a ton of super accessible spots. The best one that I found is this bracket here. It is a thick piece of metal, connects to our chassis, so it will work for a ground. I'm going to take a self-tapping screw and get that secured. So now we can move back up to our battery and get this one wire hooked up that we left disconnected earlier. So a positive battery terminal, we're going to have a nut there. We'll take that off using a 13mm. Put our wire over it. And then simply just resecure the nut. Now before we get everything put back together, it's a good idea to test our wiring to make sure it's working properly. So I just plugged in the 7-way tester here. That way we don't have to worry about plugging our trailer in, and if it has issues, you know, we can bypass those by using the tester. But with that said, you can see we have our 12-volt auxiliary power light illuminated. We'll go ahead and run through our signals now. We have our left turn, our right turn. We have the headlights on as well. And we'll go ahead and hit our brakes too. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the universal 7-way round upgrade kit on our 2018 Volvo XC60.